Hello there. Now, what is going on in the world of the far right? Well, Geert Wilders has pulled his Freedom Party out of government and collapsed the Dutch coalition, possibly triggering new elections. Yes, the so-called far-right leader of the Dutch Freedom Party, Geert Wilders, has pulled out of the Dutch coalition government, citing its failure to address his asylum seeker plans. In an ex-post, Wilders said, "No signature for our asylum plans. No amendment to the Mainlines Agreement. PVV leaves the coalition." So that means that unless the coalition can be reformed with new members, which possibly might be unlikely, then a fresh set of elections may be needed. And they only happened, about 11 months ago. Now, Reuters is reporting Wilders' surprise move ends an already fragile coalition, which has struggled to reach any consensus since its installation last July. It will likely bring new elections in a few months, adding to political uncertainty in the Eurozone's fifth largest economy. And that will, of course, upset the EU. They don't want any of this instability. All they need is people just to obey their diktats. And the big question to be asked and answered is, would another election just a year after the last one bring Wilders and his PVV Freedom Party even more support? And that is actually quite a big question. I mean, after all, he gained, 37 out of the 150 seats in the Dutch parliament, so making his PVV the biggest party in government. But the polls are not in his favour at the moment. He seems to have slipped a bit, but who knows, it might change should there be another election and they push hard again. Now, I'll just quickly interject now and just say, if you do like our content, please do join our membership program for less than about the price of a pint a month. Thanks very much. Now, Wilders may also have been unhappy that he wasn't made Prime Minister, because that honour went to the first-time politician and ex-spy master, Dick Schoof. So he didn't become Prime Minister, and I think that's one of the things that was on his little list of things to do, his bucket list, as it were. So maybe he's now seeing that there's another opportunity to have another go and maybe come back and then be Prime Minister. Although under these EU and the member state systems, it is very hard to get a full majority like we do in the UK in most cases. So yeah, he may end up with if he got more seats, he'll need fewer coalition partners, but it still won't get rid of the point is that he will need coalition partners. Now, I just wonder what people are saying about this. Yeah, Izzy Plant says, great and essential move. Yeah, I think that's possibly a truism, that he made a good move, but it all depends on how he sees the polling going. Has he got internal polling going within his party and his party machine to tell him that now is the right time? So I don't know, and that's the crux of it. So yeah. Oh, yeah. Tommy Noble, perpetual student, thanks. Lenin, I don't care who votes. I only care who's counting the votes. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But of course, all EU elections, just like the ones in the UK, are free and fair and properly monitored, and everyone gets the same vote, don't they? Yes. Good morning, Jeff. Yeah, well, thanks very much. Good morning to you too. Yes, we need stout-hearted men, says the Baron Flights. Yeah, we need stout-hearted men across the board. So, and now Cedron Kane, or was it Kedron Kane, says good timing. Yeah, it is good timing. Something I'll come on to in a minute, but that follows on with. Now, why did Wilders do this? What was his the reason he did it? Well, the crux is that Wilders had put forward a 10-point plan to cut migration and demanded that the other coalition government party leaders signed up to it. Now, his policies included using the army to patrol the borders, closing refugee accommodation centres, and sending Syrian refugees back home because Syria was now safe. So it was okay to send them home. And that is the point of refugee status, isn't it? And he also wanted a ban on family members joining refugees who are already in the country. But his opposite numbers said these plans are all illegal. So they refused. And that triggered this political spat this morning. And now they're all having a go at him, calling him irresponsible and ego-driven. Sounds to me like he's more of a patriot doing all he can to save his country. And that gets me about this, isn't it? As soon as you go against the woke narrative, it's all sorts of insults come flying your way. Why can't they just say, well, we disagree with your plan to save the country. We've got a better plan. But they don't do that, do they? They never do that. They just go in there with the usual National Socialist jibes and all the rest of it. So, yeah, he's doing what he thinks is right to save the country. If they don't think it's right, politically argue with him. Don't just throw endless, streams of invective at him. It's just not right, is it? Anyway, I'm just looking at some more comments. The EU would be trying to get an immigration-loving party by interfering in the elections. Yes, at the end of the day, they can't help themselves, can they? They just can't help themselves, and that's the sort of thing they'll get up to. That they will be putting all the pressure they can on them. You'll probably find that doing Geert Wilders' plan is something like, what's the word? Oh, yeah. Against the rule of law or something like that. That's the one they pull out all the time, isn't it? Against the rule of law. Then they can fine you umpteen loads of pounds. Yeah. Good morning, Jeff. Thank you very much, Tina Wainwright. Yes. We need to express our voices on every social media platform. Yes, that's correct. We do. Because I think that what will happen is that Geert Wilders will find that the press is against him. The EU is against him. Everyone's against. It's amazing that he got the most seats in that last election last year. And let's see, he might be able to replicate it or improve on it. But as I said, the recent polls have been slightly against him. He's dropped support a little bit, but not hugely. Now, I've got to say that even if they do cobble together a new coalition, that will probably fail in a few months anyway. So Dutch elections will, in my humble estimation, take place in a few months. And Wilders and his Freedom Party might do better than last time, although, as I've said, the polls aren't looking completely going his way. But this will have other ramifications, because it could delay the Dutch NATO-related increased defence spending decisions and leave them with a caretaker government for the NATO summit in The Hague later this month. So a directionless government trying to direct something is not a good look anyway. So, yeah. And this all comes after the Polish presidential elections, where the Trump-favoured Karol Nawrocki won, giving the Prime Minister of Poland, Donald Tusk, a bit of a headache where his progressive reform plans are concerned, because the new, what is now being labelled as ultra-nationalist president could block those moves by Tusk. And Tusk is now probably going to call for a vote of confidence in his own government so as to shore up his position. Now, he's probably going to win it, but I just think it's a throw of the dice of the desperate, really, to do that. Just say, "Oh, look, my democratic vote of my fellow politicians says I'm okay." It's all a bit It looks to me like the slow rise of the right is taking hold gradually across the EU, and the woke will, as a result, be in a panic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens over the next few days. Yeah. Oh, what's this one? Oh, I like this one. Magna Carta. Now it's Ursula fond of lying. Oh, that's a nice one. That's a very nice one. Yeah, I'm gonna use that one, I think, later if I remember. Yeah. And another one saying all restrictions are lifted where Syria has been concerned. Wasn't it Trump who lifted the tariffs and all the rest of it and all the trade restrictions on Syria because it's a safe country? So why shouldn't people be going back to rebuild their country? Good. So it's a legitimate question to ask, isn't it? Um, where else have we got? Oh yeah, this is a separate question, but I'll have a quick go at it. Morning, Jeff. Hope you're well from Scotty John. What's your view on the arrest of Craig Houston up here in Scotland? Well, I think it's just ridiculous that people on YouTube are being arrested for saying things. And most of what people say, right? Okay, they get a bit close to the edge, but that's where you're meant to be, isn't it, in political debate? And if you, if it's not pure inciting of violence or something, then I question whether anyone should be involved, like the police. And if people went out and started, waving swords and online and saying, "I'm off down to London, follow me with your pike," and all the rest of it, then yes, that would be. But some of what's said and some of the stuff that's leading to arrests, etc., all looks a bit, ooh, I don't know, don't like it. Now, I've got to say that Richard, you may have noticed, is not with me because he's out and about at the moment filming. So there'll be some interesting stuff going up on his Miss the News channel later today. So it'd be well worth going to see that because he likes to go out and about in Wales. They've got lots of sheep up there, so he does a bit of filming with the sheep. No, not that, just in the background. So he'll be doing some of that. Yeah. Woke equals broke. Yeah, this is where we're going if we don't take back charge of our countries. And Geert Wilders is trying to do it in the Netherlands. Got people trying to do it here, like Nigel Farage and others. I prefer, I must say, Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe. But that's at least Farage has got his head well and truly above the parapet, and he's storming forward. So you can't really fault that side of it. Anyway, here's a good comment. We've been lied and betrayed for the last 30 years by the Uniparty. Yes, there is definitely a Uniparty establishment out there. If no one's noticed, what you see is that the new government has come in, and suddenly we're finding that things that they do, like the Chagos Islands and other things, had already been started by the Tories, if not before that. They were already in the pipeline. They were being fed in by the Uniparty civil service, who is there just to guide the way the parties go when they're in government and all the rest of it, to have a seamless forward going thing. But at the moment, that seamless going forward thing is taking us down the U-bend, big style, and we need a massive change to get rid of all of that. So, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Where is the handsome fella? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm here. No, you mean Richard, as I've already said, he's out and about. Yeah, but he's doing his thing, and you'll see him later. Oh dear. Yeah. He might lose the vote of confidence election forced. Geert Wilders becomes president. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how this will work out. So it's just a case of keeping your eyes on things. I want Geert Wilders to do well because I believe in the nation state, and I believe that that's where the ultimate power within a country should lie, with a democracy, and however they want their country run. So, and it's up to the people, not up to people outside telling us how we must run our country, which is what's happening more and more and more around the world to everybody. In the end, what the aim is, of course, is to have a few experts in a few areas of science and all the rest of it to just tell you how you will live, because it's all going to be good for you. They're doing it with your best interests at heart. aren't they? You know, so Patricia Hadley says Geert Wilders' plan was 100% perfect. He really is trying to save his country. Can't laws be changed just to make his ideas legal? Well, the whole point is you have to get elected into having a full government control, so that then you can then convince everyone to vote for you, just in the same way that we have first past the post here. But they haven't got first past the post in most of Europe, and everyone's looked on first past the post as a bad thing, and so did I. And I'm sort of beginning to look at these other countries and see that the electorate are saying one thing, that the biggest party is this, but then they're being completely sidelined. They're sidelining so many people in the electorate who voted for Geert Wilders, for example, or the AfD. The same thing in Germany. So there's no there's no rhyme or reason in that, in allowing a few minorities to get together, because all that is control by minority, rule by minority, and in my view, that's not democracy. It can't be democracy if the minority are in charge, or minority interests, like in this country, not via the ballot box, but by non-governmental organizations, the courts, the civil service, feeding all this into majority government, trying to say that all these minorities must overcome everything you think about democracy. And we've got to get away from that. Just let democracy run its proper course. The majority must have their say, and it must be adhered to if that's what the majority wants. So, yeah. But there you go. That's just my view. Yes, they have all betrayed us. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we're being really let down. Yeah, yeah. There's one here on Lucy Connolly and Tommy Robinson from Jupiter. Hermer is personally responsible. I'm not sure he's personally responsible, other than being the head legal eagle in the government. But he may well have been the one to sign it all off. And if he did sign them off and said this is what must happen, then yes, that would make him personally responsible for those particular events. Yeah, and there's also connections with Jerry Adams and the Chagos betrayal. That really gets me. I cannot understand how anyone would do that. And it's all part of this whole collapse of the UK that we're seeing. It's not a collapse that's instigated by the people. The people don't want the UK to collapse. They want the UK to succeed. Everybody, apart from a few people who recently entered the country and have other ideas, the whole of the population, 90%, want the country to be successful. They want it to improve. They want more money. They want more opportunity. But governments seem to go in another direction, to remove all of that from us. And I can't see rhyme or reason in what they're doing, other than if they want to bring the country down, insert it, shoehorn it back into the EU or into some wider UN world-driven thing. I don't know. But I don't want that. I want us to be successful as a nation. It's quite funny. If you only have one set of politics in the world, which is where some people want us to go, we have one government, one president, one health service, one this for everybody on the planet, and everything will be perfect. If you've only got one political system, that would be like only having one supermarket. They can set the prices they like and the quality they like, and you have to buy from them. That's the trouble with one government. That's why we need more different styles of government around the world, so that we can look at each other and go, I like that bit. I like that new idea. I hate that. We're not going to do that. We need differing ideas. And that comes from having different countries with different laws. If we all decide to say we're just going to have one law and it's all going to be the same, then it is exactly like only being able to buy your car from Trabant. You get the idea. Or was it Trabant, or was that the make of a? I don't know. I can't remember. One of those USSR things that sort of fell apart as soon as you switch the engine on. But you get the idea. That's what we need: is different governments, different systems competing with each other. But there you go. Anyway, I think I've gone on long enough for this one, and it's been great to see everybody coming out and having a chat. And hopefully, you'll have a great day. And I'll be back later with something else. So, with that in mind, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and make a comment. And as I say, consider joining our membership program, which we will grow and grow and grow as time goes forward, and put more content in there for members. So there you go. And with that, I think I'll say, yeah, it's goodbye from me, and it's only me. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.